Guys, so I mentioned something briefly in my vlog the other day, but I haven't mentioned it in full on YouTube. But sorry for the echoing voice. I'm in a new room that's empty, so you'll probably hear that, but never mind. I want to talk about Christmas, and just briefly, the commercial side of Christmas is something that we all enjoy. We are all brought up in a consumerist society. We're all brought up to enjoy nice things. We're all part of that. And it's true that within discipline and meditation you can pull away from that, but there's still a lot of pleasure in receiving a beautiful and thoughtful gift, or there's a lot of pleasure in sharing a beautiful and thoughtful gift with someone as well. And of course, we should realize that it's a privilege to be able to share a gift with a loved one or to receive a gift. The concept of a gift on some of the children that we work with, before we ever gave them a gift, was actually absent from them. They didn't understand. Why would you give me something for free? Why would that happen? So, as the years progressed with myself and I became more and more aligned spiritually, I think is the best way to put it, and I started to feel through my meditation more heart-centered, I began to get the feeling at Christmas that sharing with my family material things wasn't really cutting it. There was a point 5 years ago from now, I dare say, where I said it, that I wish I could take things away from my family because then it would make them happier. Because I understood that in taking things away from myself, I'd found more and more happiness flowing through me or from me or within me. And prior to that, I used to seek happiness in objects, and there is no joy in an object to me. But, as I said, you can take pleasure in getting a thoughtful gift from somebody. And likewise, you can take pleasure from sharing a thoughtful gift. So with that feeling of mine when it comes to Christmas, Christmas is something I love. And my family are very big on celebrating the holiday. And I think the reason I love the holiday is that it's a time of the year, for whatever reason, we allow ourselves to be more loving. And I think we should be loving every day of the year. There's a song, Don't Save It All for Christmas Day. Find a way to give a little love every day or something like this. But it's true. Don't save it all up for this time of the year, but it still exists for whatever reason within human consciousness, where everyone's just a little bit more lighter and happy and giving. And to be honest, they shouldn't be, because we're heading into the darkest, most miserable point of the year, but we've managed to make it magical. Now, that magical feeling I carried with me from being a child, where all the music's very positive and a lot of us sing about God when we don't for the rest of the time of the year. And there are many beautiful stories that are light-hearted, which are often absent from the rest of the year. Created in me a feeling that I brought with me when I was in Tanzania, and I knew I could tap into that feeling inside the consciousness to get people to listen, to tap into the group mentality. And this is how the Children's Fund began. I opened the Christmas fundraising page there was a little boy called Andrea, and he had no toys. He lived right next to me. He never had toys. He'd play with rubbish and make stuff from rubbish. And it used to upset me, and I used to think, I give them a pen and paper, and 1 week later, children come back having never written, and they've written the alphabet. And I said, these children, they don't have a chance to learn to write because they don't have a pen and a piece of paper. They don't have a chance to learn to read because they don't have any books. The books in Uchira, you can pretty much come and count them here because most of them are at Featherstone. Books are just not part of the community. There's no libraries, etc. This is why I started a solar library using Kindles with preloaded Swahili books. But I realized that if people are more sharing at that time of the year, which is just within our nature for whatever reason, I feel it too, then I could share that magic here in Tanzania. And I did, and it started with that Christmas fundraiser page, and on New Year's Day I changed the fundraising page to Uchiwa Children's Fund. And I said, the first time I posted a child, I said, this girl needs to go to school. And someone responded who'd been following the Christmas fundraiser, and they sponsored her. And that child's name's Esther, and we're going to do a Christmas video about her actually, because she's the first child from the fund to go into the fund, and she's now set up in business as a seamstress thanks to the Children's Fund, so it worked. This is a girl who was living in a mud and stick house with a drunken mother, unfortunately, who has an alcohol problem, who we still work with, but haven't managed to crack that addiction for her yet. So it worked. This child who had no prospects now can support herself and has a decent job. Most people repair clothes here, so she has a good job. And this started because of this Christmas fundraiser. Now, this year, I wanted to bring something new because I can see that what was in me, sharing a gift with someone, can be important. But what I didn't want to do was share things, material things often. So I have created on the website a page for Christmas 2016. Now, one of the things we're doing on there is if you make a donation for a child of £10, we provide Christmas Day for a child. But what I mean by that, they get a gift box with essentials, like I say, pen and paper. You cannot learn to write without them, and people don't have them. A book to read from, and stuff like this. Of course, there'll be some fun things that children should have, some toys and stuff, and some nice treats, and so on and so forth. But there'll be little solar lamps in there as well, because many of the children we help don't have electricity, so they can't learn to read or do homework at night. So that's one thing I'm doing, but another thing we're doing is to be able to give a gift associated to Feather's Tale and the Children's Fund to a loved one. And the gift you'll be able to give is to support a child in some way here. And you will get a certificate in the post, which has been sent by someone volunteering for me in London. And the certificate, it depends what you sponsor. The certificate could be a big one and say, instead of sharing a Christmas gift, a normal Christmas gift with you this year, I've decided to support this child with a full year's worth of medical care, education and housing, and this certifies that I've done that for you in your name for Christmas. Now you can go less than that, you can just support school meals for a child even, and or medical care for the year for a child. And I just feel that this is a nice way to be able to share a beautiful gift on Christmas Day with a loved one, something that touches our heart, something that's real, but also something that can touch a person for the rest of the year, because if you put your certificate somewhere where you can see it, it's a nice reminder that the Christmas spirit has brought a child education for the full 12 months to follow. And it's important, guys. You know, it's literally a slippery slope. Even when we tried to get, this year we've got a huge list of nursery children. I'm about to start sharing videos about these children, because the younger I can get a child supported, the better. Because literally, when they can't get into primary school, they can end up in labour. And now that I support children from the age of a month old, I've even got another pregnant lady, so before they're even born, up to young men who are 18 at Angel's Gate, I can see the full picture. And some children can't get into school, so they end up labouring. And they can't bear labouring like most children wouldn't like to do, so they run away. Or they are hungry because their parents are not coping, so they have to labour for food, so they run. And when they run away, they can end up on the street where our older boys have been. And I can see the full story now, because we know that horrible things happen to the older boys on the street. The younger girls tend to end up in a dead-end life where they're a house girl, which means you can live in someone's house as long as you do all the housework for them, which is, you don't get paid. You're just allowed to live there and eat. And in providing the children with access to education from a young age, I see that as the best means to cut out the life on the streets that can occur for them at an older age, because these were normal nursery children who needed a sponsor, and they never got one. So they end up not in primary school, not in secondary school, and then we've got 2 boys in drug rehabilitation who've been taking drugs since they were 11. So it's a slippery slope and a horrible pathway once a child can't access school straight away, which is why it's so important to us to provide that access for the children from a young age. Any age will do, but at a young age is better because you cut it off before it begins. You cut off that cycle. Likewise, even if they don't run away, they end up labouring. And as I have 2 Maini living with me now, who calls me father, he was a child labourer all his life after his parents died, and his guardians were still forcing him to labour to get some extra money and food, etc. So he was going to school and then coming home and labouring in a quarry every day. No life for a child. And I think the biggest testimony to how sharing something like that with a child does have an impact is Zawadi, who works for us. She is from a poor Maasai community. She had no means of accessing education, and when she was very small, a Canadian lady sponsored her. And now Zawadi has qualifications in community development, all because someone sponsored her from the age of 6 for her education. Without that, she'd have been stuck, just a normal girl in a poor community struggling for food and medical care and everything else, like many others are around me. So this Christmas, I've started, as I say, a little fundraiser, and we are sharing the chance to allow you to give to a loved one something a little more touching and meaningful, but something that gives all year round, because you can look and say, yeah, I didn't get a new sweatshirt, I didn't get a box of chocolates, but at least I know this child's photo here is safe and well for the next 12 months. And I feel that that's a gift which is immeasurably more meaningful than anything you can take from a department store. And I honestly feel that if department stores and supermarkets would sell that gift in a box, a beautiful gift box where you get a certificate to say that a child has been supported thanks to this, instead of giving a normal Christmas gift, I honestly feel in my heart that people would pick those up and they would take them home happy for their loved ones. But I can't get into a department store or a supermarket. Maybe one day, I might hope. But for now, we can do it through the website, and we have beautiful certificates that are individualized and printed with a photo of the child. And it allows you to share with the children who are needing some support, and at the same time, give a Christmas gift which means a little something more than your average Christmas gift. There's a little insect just landed on my chin. So, just wanted to make that little video to tell you all about that. So, much love, guys, and I guess an early Merry Christmas or Happy Solstice, or however you want to word it.